hold on to your hats, because Beef Sticks is back. We're coming through with a hit and run like it was the 90s in Compton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like on Mrs. Doubtfire when he threw the lime at Pierce Brosnan. It was a run by fruiting. Did you forget to tip the waiter?
I always forget about that movie.
Such a great movie. I watch it at least twice a year, easily.
Nice.
And now that I got my son hooked on it. Is it last year or the year before? So now he'll sit and watch it with me.
Just got my kids watching Hook recently.
Hook. I just had
an
an apostrophe.
With the benefit of Disney Plus, my daughter on her tablet one day was watching Junior, which is something I watched when Disney Plus first came out. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have my kids watch that just yet.
That was actually one of them that not Junior.
Jack.
Okay,
Sorry,
yeah. Okay, then we are on the same page.
Yeah.
That's one of them I watched when it first came out too, and I was like, oh shit, I remembered this movie being good. Fuck. Like, that's a rough movie to watch as an adult.
She just came out one day going, you better watch out. Just you wait and see. Why is everybody always hating on me? And I'm like, oh my God, you watched it. I love that. That's my favorite part of the movie, too.
It's a good kid's show, but man, it's one of those kids shows when you rewatch as an adult, you're just like, oh my God, this is really awful.
There's so much Penthouse in that movie. But it is good. It's a good. Those movies that make you real sad, they're really funny, and then they make you real sad. Those are the best ones. Like Click.
Click is a good movie. Underrated Adam Sandler movie.
It is. I think it was definitely the first Adam Sandler movie to make me cry.
Jack and Jill made me fucking weep. Like a bitch.
I still find myself wondering why Pacino would have signed on for that.
You have no idea?
Gotta be a lot of fucking
the paycheck. Hello. Pacino wasn't making, actually to this day, I don't know that he's making good bank. I'm sure he can live good off his royalties.
The Hunters on Amazon Prime is a pretty goddamn good show. I don't know if you've seen it or anybody listening has seen it, but if you have the Amazon Prime, you might as well just go watch it. It's a great show about
it's kind of done a research.
Old World War II Jews hunting Nazis who escaped after the war and assimilated into American culture. It's really good and very comic-esque. It's a fun ride.
Oh.
Yeah, gotta pad out this one. I'm sorry. Speaking of padding. Just today, Fat Mac, Solar Opposites has appeared on Hulu. A whole season for everybody to watch in the midst of that Rick and Morty drought. But I guess Rick and Morty just came back on Sunday, too. What a crazy time to be alive.
They did.
This totally balances out the COVID and the murder hornets. Just give us more Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon fun times, and we'll be good.
Just give us good adult comedy. Duncanville. Duncanville's a slept-on one with Ty Burrell.
I have not watched that.
I'm so glad that they gave Ty Burrell something to do after Modern Family killed, because Ty Burrell is just such a comedic genius. I love Duncanville. I've watched, I haven't watched the newest episode, but I've watched all of them, and that's a fun one. A lot of good stars, and just a fun show. Of course, Big Mouth. There's always Big Mouth.
Yeah, I watched season 1, and then I just haven't gone back to Big Mouth yet. It's a good show.
A really good show.
It's just hard to find the time when you have children in the house to watch.
It's a surprisingly good show for and I'm going to say it, as long as you're open and honest, it's a good show for like 10 to 15-year-olds to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's really honest about sexuality and it doesn't shame sexuality. And kids don't get that enough.
Right.
And there are some things where you just got to look at them and say, hey, yeah, that dude fucking his pillow and then he, marries the pillow and has a kid with the pillow. Don't fuck your pillow. And then you got to go back and say, well, yeah, you can fuck your pillow, but just lock the door.
Just don't go getting anybody pregnant.
We've all done a fifi once or twice, so you can fuck a pillow. You're not the only one doing it, but you're not going to get it pregnant. But nonetheless, it's like, the one, I think it's the second season when the one gal learns about her clitoris, and she starts learning about masturbating. It's like no other show shows a young woman that it's okay to masturbate.
Yeah.
And that not just okay, it's healthy, it's positive. You should do it. That's what you're supposed to be doing at this point in your life. Like no other show talks about that. It's something that kids need to see. So I would recommend if you're able to talk with your kids about this stuff and not just turn it on and walk away, easily for kids 10 to 15, it's a really good show to watch. Educational, honestly, as stupid as that sounds.
School should start showing it in sex ed classes.
You know, now 5, 6, 7-year-olds, maybe not so much. Depends on your 5, 6, 7-year-old. But
yeah, and that's where I find a hard time sitting down to watch it. It's like,
right.
And it's a cartoon. That's the thing. They're like hooked on it as soon as it comes on.
Exactly.
So we'll keep it to Futurama, Bob's Burgers.
Can't go wrong with those two.
Yes.
Oh, well, I suppose we've gone on this long, Pasty. We might as well talk about a little bit of wrestling and bust into this week's pro wrestling history.
Woo-woo!
I teased it a couple weeks ago, folks, and here it is, the oldest This Week in Pro Wrestling history we've ever had on the show. This one goes back 115 years ago. On May 5th.
Really scraping the bottom of the barrel this week.
On May 5th. Actually, no, this is one I found a while ago and had to save and remind myself it was coming up because I didn't want to miss this one. This is an epic landmark. Probably, maybe the most important one we've talked about yet. On May 5th, George Hackenschmidt, the world Greco-Roman wrestling champion, defeated Tom Jenkins, the American heavyweight champion, 2-0 in a best-of-3 falls match to become the world catch-can heavyweight champion. This occurred in what was then considered the center of the civilized world, New York City, and is the origin of the very first recognized World Wrestling Championship. So this kind of birthed any championship that we've ever had. This was the originator. This was the first. This was George Hackenschmidt was the original pro wrestling champion. Holy shit.
The OG in the place to be.
And I love that it was a 2 out of 3 falls and he won 2-0. Like it really shows that he was the champion. He was the dominant.
Yeah, nobody knows who the fuck Tom Jenkins is.
Who the fuck is Tom Jenkins?
We all know Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins. Nobody knows Tom Jenkins. But George Hackenschmidt, we still talk about George Hackenschmidt today. I do. I guess maybe not a lot of people do, but I honestly do.
I know of him. I've seen probably a match maybe or something. Artist
clip.
Rendering.
Right? You've seen some pages flipped back and forth. Actually, not horribly long ago, my son was asking who the best pure pro wrestler was. I was like, are you talking about now? Are you talking about modern era? Are you talking about ever? And he's like, well, any of them. And I straight up said, I think ever, George Hackenschmidt. Either George Hackenschmidt or Carl Gotch. So I'm already dropping the names on my boy.
Yeah. Get him some knowledge.
Gotta have it.
Well, JR's got some knowledge for us this week. Brace yourselves, folks.
Okay, it was a few guys that had drug problems, and they died. That was their penalty for fucking being ignorant. They died. They abused drugs, and they fucking died.
Except for the ones who didn't die, JR. You being one of them, my friend.
I love how he's just so, like, he has no sympathy for them at all.
Nope.
They fucking did drugs and they died.
They fed their families and they died.
Fed their families drugs and they died. And that's the consequence.
That's Chris Benoit. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Good old Chris Benoit.
Let's hope JR's rage continues.
We like Red Ass JR.
Yes, it's fun times. He's like a baboon.
Right? The red-butted baboon.
Just imagine JR's face on a baboon for a minute. That's fun.
Gotta have the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Gotta have the cowboy hat. I'm surprised Vince didn't do that ever. Found a lot of ways to shit on old JR.
Yeah, he did. You think he's gonna shit all over Money in the Bank?
I think it's gonna be interesting. I, for one, am actually probably gonna watch the Money in the Bank match. I was indifferent whether I was gonna watch it or not, and then when they said the men and women are like combined, I was like, well, fuck. Now I kind of interested to see what happens. I know they got like 2 different rings or something, but
it'd be even better if they had it for Raw and for SmackDown for the men and the women, so there was 4 matches going on at once.
What if they just had the entire roster just fill up Titan Towers?
See, I think that's what I think you should do. Really, it should be more people. More people involved will probably make for a better time because it's spread out across the entire building.
I don't want to see that.
Like, what if
that's
they
just
did
like
Royal Rumble like this with the ring on the top? So you had to get all the way up to the top to be in the match.
See, it's like, actually, you just basically spelled it out. Then it's just like a battle royal. And in a battle royal, you don't care about anybody involved until the final, 3, 4?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see that.
You'd have to really focus on your best names and not the names that the company sees as the best, but the names the fans see as the best.
Yeah, but if you do that, what's the point of having the other ones there? Then they're just filler collecting a paycheck. Get them the fuck out of there. I like I said before, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're doing something different. They're being creative. They're using Titan Towers while there's nothing in it anyways. Like, you normally couldn't do this because you have shit everywhere, but right now, with nobody there, you can move everything around, take things out, set things up.
They can demolish the fucking building for all they care.
Yeah, I mean, you can spend 2 weeks setting it up and tearing it down. And as we know, it's already been taped, so, I mean, it's all taken care of and done. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot. I don't know when I'll watch it. I can guarantee you it won't be Sunday night.
Yeah.
You know, some people have to work Monday. I ain't gonna waste my Sunday night watching this shit.
Right.
But I want to watch it. I am intrigued. I am interested. A couple other matches I'm intrigued about. I seen Tamina's wrestling for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? We just talked last week about how Tamina was underrated and hasn't performed, and now she's got a fucking championship match.
I think it's funny they brought Tamina back and then like make her seem like she's got this push, but they brought Nia Jax back like the week after they started this Tamina pushing thing, and it's like, well, you kind of got to pick one, right?
We're getting ahead. I won't talk about it. But let's start at the beginning, Pasty.
Let's do it.
SmackDown Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way. The champions, the New Day, are defending their titles against Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison, and the recently brought up Forgotten Sons.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison. Hey, hey, ho, ho. I love that chant. It's my favorite thing. I'm so mad there's not fans to chant it anymore.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It is.
With that being said, though, Pacey, I don't know what's going on in WWE right now. I would love Miz and Morrison to get the titles back, but I don't know if there's a reason for them to have the titles back. Forgotten Sons, I literally forgot that they existed, so I'm going with New Day keeps it. They just didn't they just get it back at the last pay-per-view? I remember us just talking about it, so they got no reason to lose it. I say keep it on the New Day. Although with COVID right now, you can do whatever the fuck you want because it isn't going to affect ratings.
Right.
You need people to watch to affect ratings.
Yeah. See, I was right on board with you. New Day, I wanted to say Miz and Morrison just because I like them and I love the chant. But at the same time, I want to see them break up and fight each other even more. Then I want to see them have the tag team titles back. And then I saw the Forgotten Sons, and I didn't even know they were called up. I thought they were still NXT until you had told me. Even though you forgot about them.
I just heard about them when I read that they were called up to replace the Usos. It's the first time I heard about them. Little did I know.
And they're the dark horse in all this.